Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back. And once again, we're surrounded by lawnmowers on the outside because we're broadcasting from home. So you get that added sound effect in this time of distance broadcasting like everybody else seems to be doing. Our guest today on the first segment is a fellow named Jason White. Jason's with the Tulsa Police Department. And Jason, it's good to have you here, friend.
It's good to be here, Sam. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you for the first time. It's good to see you kind of calm down right now. Boy, the department's been busy lately.
It has been real busy, considering that everybody was supposed to stay at home, and they have been. But our crime rate, with respect to murders, and that's usually what I focus on. It's been pretty busy for us.
Well, I saw the other day that we were dealing with, or the department's dealing with, the highest murder rate in Tulsa in the past 30 years. What's triggering it? Any idea?
Well, I think that murder rate specifically was with respect to the month of April, because I can remember a few years back where we had literally like 14 or 15 murders in the first 14 or 15 days of January, back in like 2014, somewhere back in there. Might have been 13. As far as what's triggering it, I really don't know because they're all, you would think that because everybody's staying at home and so forth, that we would have a lot more domestic related homicides. Yeah. And honestly, we really haven't seen too many. I can't think of too many of those, if any, on the top of my head. We've had basically individuals acting, kind of stupid, honestly, and maybe they're on edge. I can think of one particular situation where there was a murder-suicide that may have actually contributed somewhat to the COVID virus. And when I say that, I mean that I think that the elderly male had a little bit of, I think he kind of got obsessed with the coverage. And I think that it really affected his finances and stuff. And that may have contributed to the reason why he did what he did. But other than that, I mean, I really don't know. There's just been a lot of, April was one of the bloodiest months that I can remember. I think we had it was either 13 to 15 homicides in the month of April. That's uncharacteristically busy for us. And, fortunately for us, I think we were able to solve all of them with the exception of maybe one of them, maybe two that were in that group.
I think one of those that remains unsolved has to do with two folks who were employed by an apartment complex, and somebody called in and said something about smoke in the complex, and they went outside together to investigate, and as they rounded a corner, a guy rounded the corner with a gun in his hand, shot and killed both of them.
Well, and that case was actually solved, and that's kind of that's one of those type of cases that just makes your heart sink, and it's something that is just absolutely senseless. To tell you a little bit about that case just briefly.
But it has been solved?
Yeah, that case did get solved. It was one of those situations where somebody had left a wig on the stove. I guess that they put the wig and boiled it to try to disinfect it or sanitize it in a sense. And so they had done that, and they had left the apartment because they had remembered that they had left their wallet somewhere. So the male and female that lived at that apartment, they left with the intention of coming right back, but then they forgot about the wig on the stove. So what happened was that another tenant had actually heard or smelt the smell and alerted the management. The management, one of the managers, I think he was a maintenance guy, went to that apartment, and he wasn't able to get access, but he did see that there was something going on inside of that apartment. And so therefore he alerted the manager. They went to the apartment, they resolved the situation. And fortunate for us, we had video which showed that clearly they were outside dealing with it outside of the apartment. And then all of a sudden you have the suspect that's literally walking by. And we don't know if there was actually a word exchanged or something along those lines, but it didn't really appear that anything had happened. And then this guy immediately turned back, started walking back, and then directed his attention towards both managers and, really essentially just executed them both. It was a tragedy, honestly.
So very sad. So sad.
Yes.
But you've also, I mean, you guys have to claim victory in in several respects, because you've been able to get in and just through hard, get down, put your nose to the grindstone police work, you've resolved virtually all of them.
Well, over the course, I like to use 2016 as a good starting point, because in 2016 we had a record number of homicides in our city, which was 82. The next year, and out of those 82 in 2016, we actually solved them all, which is amazing. I'll say this right now: there's, in some of those instances, there's a little luck that's sprinkled in through there too, in some of those cases. And then in some of those cases, it was just absolute dogged determination that got us to the point where we needed to be. But out of those 82, to have 100% clearance rate is just absolutely unheard of a city our size, honestly. So I don't know of another city that had that many murders that were able to solve them all or not. I don't know, but at least 100% clearance rate. And then you take the next year, which is 2017. And in that year, we had 82 again. We actually had 83 on paper, but in reality, we had 82 murders. And out of those 82 murders, we solved 80 of them. And actually, those two that are unsolved out of that year, one of them is mine, which is going to be solved. And then there's another one, which we know who did it. And it's just a matter of, I don't know what's going to happen on that, but it's basically, for all intents and purposes, solved. So once again, you have another nearly 100% solve rate. And then if you take all of those years since 2016, I think we may have 6 or 7 that are literally unsolved, which is a clearance rate of about 98%.
Yeah.
And that's pretty amazing, honestly.
Well, it's still
it's incredibly high. And a lot of that, listen, we're not going to be as successful as we are if we didn't have the assistance of the public, because we're not solving these cases off DNA or fingerprints. I mean, that's really a rare thing for us. In reality, most people are killed by people that they know, and it's really diving in there and doing some really effective victimology, and also building that relationship with the family, a level of trust, and also just the witnesses and stuff. And if you were to watch us on TV, and you'll see that we really have a kind of a gang up mentality where we all hands on deck in many instances, where we really jump in there and help with other people's cases too. So, with that said, I think that's really attributed to a significant success rate on our end. And not only there, but when you take it to the level of prosecution, the vast majority of those cases we get successful prosecutions on as well. So, it's not over until we get a verdict, and then literally until it goes to the Court of Criminal Appeals down the line.
One of those that has been resolved involved the murder. I mean, it was an execution. There's no other way to get around it, of a store clerk on Harvard Avenue.
Yes.
Hey,
guy.
I was astounded to hear that had been resolved. I thought, well, they'll never find whoever did that. But one of them had already died or been killed in another area, and then they knew who this one was and went after him and got him.
Right.
Amazing work. Before time is getting away from us, and I don't want to let that happen. But we need to stress to the public: you guys in homicide, there's not a big department. There's not a lot of folk, and you're having to parcel it out because of this virus. Now that's sweet, the pandemic, and as such, if one gets sick with the virus, that means everybody's quarantined, isn't that not?
That is true, and certainly there's been plans in place in the event that one of us was to get infected. There is some working from home that has been going on, but we do have guys that are inside of the office throughout the week, myself included, and we are now going in there a little bit more than what we were, but we were working from home. So we didn't want to have the possibility of one of our guys getting exposed, and we did have actually one of our guys quarantined there for a while, because one of the officers actually had tested positive.
Sure.
But we're doing what we need to do, and we're still effective, whether we're still able to mobilize from home and get right out there in the community and do what we need to do.
And the final message that we have today together, a little bit about the network A&E's TV show, First 48. You're involved in that, aren't you?
Yes, they actually started filming in our city July of 2014. As far as they filmed in our city, I think we were the 22nd city that they profiled on that show, and they have filmed with us continuously longer than they filmed with any other city that they've profiled on that program. So, they've been with us for a long time. They one of the advantages of that show, I guess, at least what they told us initially, was kind of one of the benefits of having them here to film us is really recruitment. Them being able to show our department. I think that in many instances you're going to have people that ordinarily wouldn't even have a clue where Tulsa was, but since we're on that program and certainly getting some good reviews from the public, not only in the country but literally in other countries as well. So really positive feedback. There's no doubt that has contributed to some people looking at our apartment and actually considering coming here. So, we have a number of candidates that are in our academy currently that are from other states that I have no doubt that has something to do with it.
I've heard that some politicians, are saying, "Oh, well, that gives Tulsa a bad image," and it doesn't seem to do that at all.
No, I don't honestly. We're out in the community all the time. So probably the number one viewing audience of that show are people that we deal with on a regular basis, in reality. So we talk about this all the time. One of the guys that I work with all the time, his name is Ronnie Leatherman. We're constantly talking about it. We have never had a negative experience from anybody that we've dealt with in the community in reference to that show.
Yeah.
Now, are there people that sometimes say, "Hey, don't put me on the camera"? Of course, that's normal.
Yeah.
But in reality, a lot of people don't even notice the camera that's actually behind us or next to us while we're talking to them out in the community. And really, we get so many more. Hey, man, we appreciate the work that you guys are doing, and they see the effort, regardless of the character of the victim that we're having to deal with. They see the effort that we're trying to get that solved, no matter if it's whoever it is in the community.
I hate to do this to you, buddy, but we're out of time. Thank you for taking time to visit with us.
It's been a pleasure.
Try to get some rest, and maybe down the road we can have you back and things will be a little more calm out there, all right?
I'd love to come back. Maybe we can do it in the studio.
Hey, that's a wonderful idea. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Take a short break, and we'll be back with more right after this.